So I'm Shae, and I am a performer and a producer. So I'm 1/3 of Roustabout, which is the company that is producing Dinosaurs and all that rubbish. In this show, I play the silly man that destroys planet Earth, standing for all of humanity's actions over the years. And yeah, so the company has been going for just over 3 years now, and yeah, that's me. The show is our gig theatre style adaptation of Michael Foreman's beautiful book, which was first published in 1972. So this year is the 50th anniversary. And we've had a long journey with the show to reach this point. So we first came to the title during the second lockdown, and we were very excited to adapt the children's book into a performance piece. But at that point in time, we were only able to do it digitally, which was great and a big learning curve for us, using green screen and all that sort of stuff. And slowly, as we've resumed whatever this form of normality is, we are finally able to bring it to life on stage in its complete form from our imagination back in February 2021 or whatever to now. So yeah, that's the show.
Yeah. And I guess, why this piece? Why did it stand out to choose to do this one?
Ooh, for a number of reasons. So the book was Toby, who is Roustabout's writer and director. It was one of his much loved children's books. And as a company, we have a relationship with Michael Foreman, having worked on a few of his pieces before. So we were looking around for what our next piece would be. And we dreamed that maybe we would be given the opportunity, or maybe he would let us do this one. And we were drawn to this title, not just because Toby loved it, or I guess one of the reasons that he's loved it across time is that it is a book that has real intergenerational appeal, not just because it's 50 years old, so grandparents who remembered it from their childhood now read it to their children, but also because of the themes that are addressed in the piece, which must have seemed more radical in 1972 than they do now, but have of course become increasingly urgent. So we wanted to make a piece of theatre for all ages that inspired people young and old, and it gave them hope to change our current environmental and climate crisis. So that was a challenge, as you know, some days you feel more doomed than others. And I'm from Australia, and at the time we were making this, when we first started thinking about it, there were horrific fires. And sometimes you feel like there is no hope and you don't know what to do. And we wanted to take this story and make it into a piece of family theatre that would leave people feeling like there are things we can do. We are not alone. We're in this together, and inspire them to make a difference, ask questions and make a difference.
And as you kind of just touched on, it's already, like you say, the 50th anniversary of the book, and the kind of concepts of pollution and conservation are probably, like you say, never more relevant. But what do you think the lasting appeal of this story in particular is, I guess?
I think it's a sense of joint responsibility. So I think the end of the story and the end of the show is a moment of unification. You feel united in this struggle, in this more urgent than ever human struggle to remain, to keep our planet in a state that we can survive on, and not just for us, but of course. So I think, what the lasting appeal of the story is that we must adapt and change together in order to protect our home. I think that's, for me, that's where the lasting appeal lies.
Yeah. And how have you gone about going from that process of a picture book and then bring it to the stage?
So when we first started working on the live show, so I'm skipping forward a little bit in our story of the adaptation of this book, but let's start there. We work with, whenever we're developing a show, we work in schools with the sort of ideal target age, the real bullseye of the target age. And for us, for this show, that was year 2, the 5 and 6 year olds. So we went into 3 primary schools with the book and spent over about 2 weeks in total with those children, exploring the story, the themes, the characters, seeing what they saw in the pictures and in the story that we hadn't seen. Children's imaginations are so rich and wonderful, and it's like they sort of have a magic eye. They can see so much more than we blind ourselves to as we become adults. So it is to the credit of the wonderful 90 year 2 students that we worked on, we worked with, that we were able to really flesh out the book and the story in the book into an hour-long piece. So that involved, more specifically, they helped us write some songs. So the silly man who works in the factory that builds the rocket that pollutes planet Earth and makes it uninhabitable. We wanted to know what's that factory like, and who are the people that work there, and what do they do, and what do they like, and how do they sing, or what are their dreams? And we mined the children's ideas, and then we put them into a song. So that's one example. Another is at the end of the story, the man returns to planet Earth, but he doesn't recognize it because he's never appreciated it as a paradise before. And we wanted to know what children's ideas of a paradise was. What did that look like to them? And seeds of those ideas have grown and blossomed in the show that we now have. So that's I guess how we began. And then slowly over the course of an R&D, and our rehearsal processes are still very much like R&Ds. We're always chopping and changing and adding and adapting. We just slowly trimmed things and kept the blossoming flowers and trimmed the wilting leaves, and we have what we have today.
Yeah. And obviously you're in rehearsals at the minute for Edinburgh. How's that going?
Yeah, it's they're going well. It's very sweaty. It's a very hot time to be. We've had to change rehearsal rooms because the first one was just too hot. But we're working with an amazing team of people and there's a real spread, some who have done Edinburgh many times, some who are doing Edinburgh for the first time. And there's a real passing down of experience and knowledge and from veterans, but then a real enthusiasm and excitement from those who haven't been there before. So you meet in the middle of this, I remember what the first time was like, or here's some advice to help for the first time. And I feel very lucky to have such an amazing team to help bring this together. I think that is absolutely essential for an Edinburgh run, which is a bit like going on a extended family holiday. But we're in a good shape. We just did a run today. We have another 2 days of rehearsal in our dress and tech, and then we head off to Edinburgh on Sunday. So I think we are in quite good shape. Yeah. Good.
And obviously post Edinburgh, you're also touring it and then taking it into schools as well. How important is that kind of to take it back to the schools as well?
Some of my favorite, often I find my favorite shows are those that are done in schools. It's wonderful to bring in theatre work into the school environment to disrupt the kind of that learning environment with fun. And especially for those schools that we did the R&D in, to take the work back, and hopefully the children will recognize the seeds that they gave us 18 months ago. And who knows, that might make a child think, oh, maybe I could be a writer, or I came up with that dance move. It brings about possibility. So I'm really, really excited to go back to those 3 schools, as well as the rest. Children are such an honest audience. So you learn, you have to be a resilient performer, but also adaptable to respond and keep finessing as you go. So I'm excited for that process to begin.
Yeah. And if you were to describe the show in 3 words, how would you describe it?
Ooh, okay. I would say it is silly, it is joyous, and it is I hope this counts as one word as my third word, rock and roll. It really is. It has a banging soundtrack. The tunes are great. Our composer has done an amazing job, Robin Hemmings, and the songs are just so fun to sing. I think people will be singing them all the way home and the day after and the day after that. I've been singing them for over a year now. I will never get out of my head.
The best kind. But I have some more general questions I ask all my interviewees. The first being, what was the first piece of theatre that you can remember seeing in your lifetime?
Ooh, I saw a production of Showboat in Sydney when I was about 7 years old. And I remember I was sat at the very back of the theatre in the very back row. And I couldn't believe that this entire world had come to life before my very eyes. And I was right there. I was not in Sydney anymore. I was on the boat, and I was Old Man River, and I was all the other songs I'd forgotten from the show. But it just captivated me. And from that moment, I sort of knew I would never do anything else. Whether or not I was performing in theatre, I always knew I would be working in that world, because I think it's magic. And for an audience to sort of to sit and share in the communal act of telling a story, I feel like everyone's heart kind of beats in time together. And when an audience laughs together, it's this moment where everyone is on the same page. Something has been communicated, and everyone shares in this communal response. And I just think that's.
I've already kind of just answered this, but if you weren't in theatre, what do you think you'd be doing with your life?
Well, when I tried to get a serious education and a serious job before finally realizing I should work in theatre, I studied psychology, which makes complete sense to me. I was trying to study or understand human behavior and how to, and how to sort of help people and their experiences in a medical way. And then I deviated and went into how to do that and understand human behavior and their experiences in a storytelling and creative artistic way. So I think if I wasn't in theatre, or were I ever to deviate again, I'd be quite happy going back to explore what that would be like from a therapeutic perspective. Yeah.
And you kind of also touched on this already, but what does theatre simply mean to you?
Oh, yeah. I think I've given you my philosophical quote about theatre. What it means to me is that it's a deeply human thing, I think, to share your story and to realize that you are not alone in the things that you have felt, things that you have felt, the thoughts that you have thought. I think it's a dangerous place where we ask questions and we reveal things about humanity and us as people that make the rest of us bolder and stronger to do that ourselves. And I was thinking about this yesterday, actually, as I was walking. I was thinking about this yesterday as I was walking on my lunch break, and there was a guy on the high street playing guitar, and he was playing Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang. And I noticed that as I was walking, I adjusted my gait and the tempo of I was walking in time with him. And then I looked around and noticed that I wasn't the only one. There were other people walking in time, and we sort of clocked each other, and we all realized, oh, we're marching in time to this beat, and we don't know each other at all, but we are connected in some way through this experience. And I feel like theatre does that through the means of storytelling. And I like to imagine that when something suspenseful happens in theatre, that as a whole audience, we all hold our breath, or our heart slows, or our heartbeat gets faster, and that is a deeply connecting sort of subconscious experience that makes us all a little less alone on this planet we ought to take better care of. To bring it back to the story.
We've come to our final question. So simple one for you is, why should anyone come and see Dinosaurs and all that rubbish?
You'll just have a really good time. I guarantee you will have a good time watching this show. That's why you should see it.
Amazing. Well, that wraps it up brilliantly. Anyone wants to come and see it, you're at Assembly George Square at the Fringe from the 4th to the 21st, not 15th. Then touring September through to November, as well as the school performances in there as well. There'll be links in the description and all that. So if anyone wants to come, they should.